The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark metal moon. Its surface was covered with strange symbols that pulsed with blue light. Inside the ship, Ambassador Vexatar waited in the meeting room. His 6 arms moved restlessly as he prepared to deliver the most important message in galactic history. Kang Deho stepped into the room wearing his simple black suit. The Prime Minister of Earth looked small next to the towering alien, but his eyes showed no fear. Behind him walked Park Hae-jin, the director of Earth's Defense Initiative. Her military uniform was clean and pressed, and her hand rested near her weapon. "Prime Minister Kang," Vextar said in his mechanical voice. The translator made his words sound flat and cold. "The Galactic Council has made a decision. Earth must join the war against the Void Swarm. You will provide ships, weapons, and soldiers." Deho sat down at the long table. He folded his hands and looked directly at the alien. "And if we refuse?" Vextar's 4 yellow eyes flashed with anger. "Then Earth will face the consequences. No more trade agreements. No more technology sharing. No more protection from the Council fleet. You will stand alone in the galaxy." The room fell silent. Through the large windows, Earth looked peaceful and blue. Cities sparkled with lights, and white clouds drifted across green continents. It was hard to believe that war was consuming the galaxy. "Tell me about this war," Deho said quietly. "Tell me why 12 alien races cannot defeat one enemy." "The Void Swarm is unlike anything we have faced," Vextar replied. His voice became darker. "They consume entire star systems. They turn planets into breeding grounds. They have no mercy, no honor, no desire for peace. In 3 years, they have destroyed 47 worlds." Hae-jin leaned forward. "What do they want?" "Expansion, consumption, death." Vextar's claws scraped the table. "They speak to no one. They negotiate with no one. They only destroy." Deho stood up slowly. "I need time to discuss this with my government." "You have 24 hours, Vextar said. "The Council fleet waits for your answer." After the alien left, Deho and Hae-jin walked through the corridors of the space station. Other humans hurried past them, carrying reports and data tablets. Everyone looked worried. "What are you thinking?" Hae-jin asked. "I'm thinking about history," Deho replied. "Every time humans have been forced into someone else's war, we have paid a terrible price." They entered a secure meeting room where other government leaders waited. Lee Tae-min, captain of the starship Hanbok's Pride, stood near a holographic display. The display showed the current war zone, a vast area of space where red dots marked destroyed worlds. "The situation is bad," Tae-min reported. "The Council forces are losing on every front. They've lost 3 major fleet battles this month alone." Choi So-young, the xenobiologist, activated another display. "I've been studying the data they gave us about the Void Swarm. Something doesn't make sense." "What do you mean?" Deho asked. "Look at the attack patterns," So-young said, pointing to the hologram. "They're not random. The swarm attacks specific types of worlds, mining colonies, research stations, military bases, but they avoid agricultural worlds and civilian populations." Hae-jin frowned. "That's not what Vextar told us." "The official reports say the swarm destroys everything," So-young continued. "But the actual data shows they're very selective about their targets." Deho studied the information carefully. As a former military strategist, he understood the importance of accurate intelligence. "Are you saying the Council is lying to us?" "I'm saying the truth might be more complicated than they want us to believe," So-young replied. The meeting continued for hours. They discussed Earth's military capabilities, economic consequences, and diplomatic options. Finally, Deho called for a vote. "All in favor of joining the war?" he asked. 2 hands went up out of 12. "All in favor of neutrality?" 10 hands rose. "Then it's decided," Deho said. "Earth will remain neutral." The next day, Vexatar returned to hear Earth's answer. This time he brought 2 other council members, a tall, thin creature called Zephal and a floating jellyfish-like being named Mordex. "We have made our decision," Deho announced. Earth formally declares neutrality in this conflict. The three aliens exchanged shocked looks. Vextar's yellow eyes blazed with fury. You refuse to help defend the galaxy? We refuse to join a war we don't understand, Deho replied calmly. But we will help in other ways. Earth will provide humanitarian aid to war refugees. We will treat wounded from both sides. We will work for peace. Cowardice, Zephal hissed. Humans have always been weak. This proves it. Yijin stepped forward, her face hard. Director Park, please escort our guests to their ship. As the aliens left, Mordex floated close to Deho. You make a dangerous mistake, human. The Council remembers its enemies. And Earth remembers its friends, Deho replied. We hope someday you will be among them. Within hours, Earth's decision spread across the galaxy. The reaction was immediate and harsh. Council propaganda broadcasts called humans cowards and traitors to galactic civilization. Trade agreements were canceled. Technology sharing stopped. Military cooperation ended. But Earth had prepared for this. Years of careful planning had made them nearly self-sufficient. Their quantum shield networks protected the solar system. Their advanced AI systems managed resources perfectly. Their exploration ships were faster and better armed than most alien vessels. Taman stood on the bridge of the Hanbuck's Pride as they approached the Centauri system. His ship had been redesigned as a rescue vessel, equipped with medical facilities and refugee quarters. Captain, we're receiving distress calls from 3 different ships, his communications officer reported. All of them? Taman asked. Yes, sir. 2 council vessels and 1 unknown signature. Unknown? It's not in our database. The ship design is completely different from anything we've seen. Taman thought for a moment. Earth's neutrality meant helping everyone. Set course for the nearest ship. We'll help them all. The first rescue was a council transport carrying families from a destroyed colony. The aliens were suspicious of human help, but their children were dying from radiation poisoning. Human medical teams worked around the clock to save them. The second ship belonged to the military. Council soldiers glared at the humans with hatred, but they accepted treatment for their wounds. Some even thanked the medical staff quietly. The third ship was the mystery. When Tyman's team boarded it, they found something incredible. The crew was human-like but different. They had pale skin that seemed to glow, and their eyes were completely black. They spoke in a language that sounded almost familiar. So Young studied the strangers carefully. Their biology was fascinating. Clearly evolved from a similar base as humans, but adapted for space travel. Their ship was grown rather than built, with walls that pulsed like living tissue. Who are you? She asked through the translator. The leader of the strangers tilted his head. We are the lost ones. We search for the quiet ones. The quiet ones? Those who do not scream in the void, those who think before they act, those who build instead of destroy. So Young felt a chill run down her spine. Are you talking about humans? The stranger's black eyes seemed to focus on her with new interest. You are the quiet ones? Before she could answer, alarms rang throughout the ship. Council warships had arrived, demanding the surrender of all 3 rescued vessels. Taman faced an impossible choice. Earth's neutrality meant not fighting, but it also meant protecting those under their care. He made his decision quickly. This is Captain Lee Taman of Earth vessel Hanbuck's Pride, he broadcast to the council ships. These vessels and their crews are under humanitarian protection. Any attack on them will be considered an attack on Earth. The council commander responded with anger. You have no authority here, human. Those ships belong to us. Those people belong to themselves, Taman replied. Earth recognizes their right to seek asylum. The standoff lasted for hours. Finally, the council ships withdrew, but not before making threats. Earth had made enemies, but they had also made a strange new contact. Back on Earth, Deho read the reports from Taman's mission. The mysterious third species troubled him. Their description of quiet ones sounded too specific to be coincidence. Sir, Hyejin said, entering his office, we're receiving more distress calls. Refugee ships are heading toward our space from across the war zone. How many? Hundreds. maybe thousands. Daeho looked out his window at the peaceful Earth below. Soon that peace would be tested in ways they had never imagined. "Open the humanitarian corridors," he ordered. "All of them. If the galaxy wants to call us cowards for not fighting, then we'll show them what true courage looks like." As Earth's rescue fleet spread across the galaxy, the war continued to rage. Council worlds fell one by one to the mysterious void swarm. But in the chaos and destruction, something new was beginning. Earth's neutrality was not weakness. It was strength. And soon, the galaxy would understand the difference. The alien. Refugees who reached Earth's space found something they had never expected, a place where different species could live together in peace. Human doctors treated alien wounds without asking about politics. Human engineers helped repair alien ships without demanding payment. Human families opened their homes to alien children who had lost everything. 6 months had passed since Earth declared neutrality. The war in the galaxy grew worse each day. Council forces retreated from system after system as the void swarm advanced toward the galactic center. But something strange was happening in human space. Yoon Jae-wook stood in the control center of Sejong 7, a mining station on the edge of human territory. The station floated in empty space, harvesting rare metals from asteroid fields. Through the large windows, he could see the endless black of space dotted with distant stars. "Sir, we have another sighting," reported his communications officer. "Same as before?" Jae-wook asked. "Yes, sir. Unknown ships conducting scans from long range. They don't respond to our signals, but they don't attack either. This was the 5th time this month. Strange ships appeared near human colonies, performed detailed scans, and then disappeared. They never came close enough for detailed examination, but their technology was unlike anything in the Council databases." Jae-wook activated the secure communication channel to Earth. "This is Sejong 7 to Earth Command. We need guidance on the unknown contacts." Hours later, the response came from Park Hyejin herself. "Continue normal operations. Do not engage unless directly threatened. Record everything." On Earth, Hyejin studied the reports from dozens of human outposts. The pattern was clear but puzzling. The unknown ships only appeared near human settlements. They ignored council bases and civilian alien colonies. They were specifically interested in humans. Director Park called Kim Nari as she entered the briefing room. The elite pilot had just returned from a reconnaissance mission to the Outer Rim. "I have something you need to see." Nari activated the holographic display. "I was conducting a standard patrol when I detected one of the unknown vessels. This time I managed to get close enough for detailed scans." The hologram showed a ship, unlike anything in human or alien databases. It was organic-looking, with curves and flowing lines instead of straight edges. The surface seemed to pulse with a faint inner light. "The composition is incredible," Nari continued. "It's not metal or ceramic. The ship appears to be grown, not built. And look at this." The display zoomed in on the ship's surface. Strange symbols covered the hull, flowing and changing like living text. "Those symbols," Hyejin said slowly. "They're moving." "That's not the strangest part," Nari replied. "When I approached, the ship didn't flee. It waited, like it wanted me to see it." Meanwhile, in her laboratory on Earth, Choi So-young worked on the greatest mystery of the war. Council forces had managed to capture a small void swarm scout ship, and they had shared the wreckage with their human allies before the neutrality declaration. So-young carefully examined a piece of the ship's biohull under her microscope. The material was definitely organic, but unlike any life form in the galactic databases. The cellular structure was complex and seemed to serve multiple functions: armor, sensors, communication, and propulsion all in one. "Computer, compare this genetic sequence with all known species," she commanded. The AI worked for several minutes before responding. No direct matches found. However, there are significant similarities to several baseline genetic patterns. Which patterns? Most notably, a 67% correspondence with human genetic markers. So-young nearly dropped her sample. "That's impossible. Run the comparison again." Comparison confirmed. The Void Swarm biological components share significant genetic heritage with human DNA. Before So Young could process this information fully, her communicator buzzed. "Dr. Choi, please report to the communication center immediately." She arrived to find a crowd of technicians gathered around a massive display screen. Oh, Sung-ho, the diplomatic attaché, looked pale and worried. "What's happening?" So Young asked. "We're receiving a transmission," Sung-ho replied. "It's not coming from any council ship or human vessel." On the screen, complex mathematical equations scrolled past. The patterns were beautiful and intricate, but they meant nothing to most observers. "It's not random," So Young said after studying the display for several minutes. "These are prime number sequences, but arranged in a very specific pattern." "Can you decode it?" Sung-ho asked. "I'm trying, but this isn't like any alien language we've encountered. It's more like pure mathematics." Lim Yuna, the communications specialist, worked frantically at her console. "The signal is coming from multiple sources, at least 12 different transmitters, all coordinating the same message. Where are they located?" Hyejin asked as she entered the room. "That's the problem," Yuna replied. "They're in Void Swarm territory." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. The Void Swarm, which supposedly never communicated with anyone, was sending mathematical messages directly to Earth. "Keep working on the translation," Hyejin ordered. "I need to report this to the Prime Minister." Across the galaxy, the war was going badly for the Council. Song Ki-hoon, captain of the research vessel New Seoul, watched from a safe distance as another Council world fell to the swarm. "The planet Zerion 4 has gone dark," reported his sensor officer. "No life signs detected." Ki-hoon studied the tactical display. Zerion 4 had been a major industrial world with 12 million inhabitants. Now it was silent and dark, another victim of the swarm's advance. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command," his communications officer announced. "We're ordered to investigate swarm behavior patterns and report any unusual activity." "Unusual activity?" Ki-hoon laughed grimly. "The entire war is unusual activity." But as they moved closer to the war zone, Ki-hoon began to understand what Earth Command wanted to know. The swarm's attacks followed no logical pattern. They would devastate a military base but leave nearby civilian colonies untouched. They would consume the resources of an industrial world but ignore agricultural planets. "It doesn't make sense," his tactical officer said. "If they wanted to conquer the galaxy, they would need food production and civilian populations for labor. Unless they don't want to conquer," Ki-hoon replied thoughtfully. "Unless they want something else entirely." Back on Earth, Han Woo-jin worked in the Military Intelligence Center, analyzing every piece of data about the swarm. As an intelligence analyst, he had access to classified council reports that revealed disturbing inconsistencies. "Director Park," he called as Hyejin entered the intelligence center. "I've found something important." He activated a secure holographic display showing the timeline of the war. "Look at the first swarm attacks. They occurred immediately after Council expansion into the Void Nebula region." "The Council said they were exploring uninhabited space," Hyejin replied. "That's what they claimed," Woo-jin agreed. "But I've analyzed their sensor data. The nebula wasn't empty. It contained massive biosignatures consistent with swarm technology." Hyejin studied the data carefully. "You're saying the Council invaded swarm territory first?" "That's exactly what I'm saying. The swarm attacks aren't expansion, they're retaliation. This revelation changed everything. If the Council had started the war by invading someone else's territory, then Earth's neutrality wasn't just morally justified, it was strategically correct." Meanwhile, So Young made a breakthrough in translating the mathematical messages from the swarm. Working with the most advanced AI systems on Earth, she began to understand the pattern. "It's not a language," she explained to the assembled government leaders. "It's a test. They're sending us mathematical problems to see if we can solve them." "What kind of problems?" Daeho asked. "Complex equations about space-time, quantum mechanics, and biological evolution." The kind of problems that require advanced intelligence to understand. And can we solve them? We already have. But there's more. So Young activated another display. I've been working on a response, not just solving their problems, but sending them new ones. The room watched as So Young transmitted a series of mathematical equations toward the swarm's position. The response came within hours. Not more equations, but something entirely different. What is that? Daeho asked, looking at the strange symbols on the screen. I believe it's their actual language, So Young replied. They tested our intelligence with mathematics. Now they're ready to communicate. The first translated message was simple but profound. Greetings, quiet ones. We have searched for you across the dark between stars. Taemin received the communication while his ship was evacuating refugees from a council transport. The Hanbok's pride had become famous throughout the galaxy as a symbol of human compassion. Alien families specifically requested rescue by human ships, knowing they would be treated fairly. Captain, his communications officer called. We're receiving the new swarm translation protocols from Earth. Any new messages? Taemin asked. Yes, sir. They're asking about our intentions. Taemin thought carefully before responding. As a ship captain, his words could represent all of humanity. Tell them we seek peace and understanding. We wish to learn about them as they learn about us. The response came quickly. Your words carry truth weight. Unlike the Screamers, you do not speak with violence intent. Screamers? Taemin asked. We believe they mean the council species. So Young's voice came through the communication link. The swarm distinguishes between humans and other aliens based on our communication patterns. The red dust of Mars swirled around the archaeological site as Bai Minseo carefully brushed dirt from the ancient symbols. She had been working in this crater for 3 months, ever since deep ground scanners detected the massive structure buried beneath the Martian surface. Professor Bai called her assistant, holding up a strange crystalline object. This was embedded in the wall structure. It's still active. Minseo took the crystal carefully. It was unlike anything in human or alien databases, a complex geometric shape that seemed to bend light around itself. As she touched it, the crystal began to glow with a soft blue light. Suddenly, holographic images filled the excavation site. Ancient beings moved through the air, tall and graceful, with features that looked almost human but somehow different. The holograms showed great cities floating in space, ships that looked grown rather than built, and most shocking of all, 2 groups of the same species saying goodbye. Are you recording this? Minseo asked breathlessly. Every second, her assistant replied. But Professor, look at their faces. Minseo studied the holographic beings carefully. One group had the pale, glowing skin and black eyes that matched the descriptions of the mysterious strangers Taemin had rescued. The other group looked remarkably similar to baseline humans, slightly shorter, with normal skin tones and eyes that reflected light instead of absorbing it. My God, she whispered. It's a species division. On Earth, Han Woo-jin stood in the intelligence center studying the latest reports from across the galaxy. The Kethmori collective had begun moving differently, no longer attacking council positions randomly, but conducting what appeared to be organized reconnaissance missions. Sir, called his analysis officer, we're seeing unusual activity in the Void Nebula region. The main display showed a 3-dimensional map of known space. The nebula, which had been the original source of conflict, now pulsed with energy signatures unlike anything previously recorded. What kind of activity? Wu Jin asked. Massive construction. The Kethmori are building something huge inside the nebula. Our long-range sensors can't penetrate deep enough to see what it is. Before Wu Jin could respond, Lim Yuna's voice came over the communication system. All department heads to the main briefing room. We have a priority message from the Kethmori collective. The briefing room filled quickly with Earth's top leaders and scientists. On the main screen, Kethmori symbols flowed in their beautiful, living script while the translation appeared below. Quiet ones of the ground-bound path. The message began. The time of revelation approaches. Ancient knowledge must be shared before the Screamers destroy what remains of the first home. So Young worked frantically to decode the complex portions of the message. They're talking about something called the Memory Vault, a repository of knowledge from before the species split. Where is it located? Daiho asked. That's the problem, So Young replied. According to this, the Memory Vault is hidden somewhere in Council territory. The Kethemori have been trying to reach it, but Council forces block their path. Song Ki-hoon received orders to investigate the ancient ruins that were being discovered across human space. His research vessel New Soul was equipped with the latest archaeological scanners and a team of the best xenoarchaeologists in human territory. Their first stop was Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, where construction teams had uncovered strange, metal structures beneath the ice. Ki-hoon suited up and descended into the excavation site with his team. The structures were clearly artificial but incredibly ancient. The metal was unlike any known alloy, and it showed no signs of corrosion, despite being buried for millions of years. Captain, called Dr. Park, the team's archaeology expert, these symbols match the ones found on Mars. Ki-hoon examined the wall carvings. The same flowing script that the Kethemori used covered every surface, telling a story in pictures and words. What does it say? It's a history, Dr. Park replied, working with the translation protocols So Young had developed. The story of a species that lived throughout this solar system long before humans evolved. The story was incredible. An ancient civilization had thrived in Earth's solar system millions of years ago. They were explorers and builders, creating beautiful cities on Mars, Europa, and dozens of other worlds. But something happened that forced them to make a terrible choice. According to this, Dr. Park continued, they discovered that their sun was going to become unstable. They had to leave, but their population was too large for their ships to carry everyone. Ki-hoon studied the pictographs showing the Great Division, so they split up. More than that. They deliberately evolved into two different subspecies. One group modified themselves for life in the void between stars. The other group chose to remain on planets, hoping to find new worlds to settle. The space-adapted ones became the Kethemori, Ki-hoon realized, and the planet-bound ones eventually became humans, Dr. Park finished. We're all that remains of the ground-bound path. Back on Earth, this revelation sent shockwaves through the government. Humanity wasn't just related to the Kethemori, they were the same species, separated by millions of years of evolution and adaptation. This changes everything, Daiho said at the emergency council meeting. The war isn't between different species, it's a family conflict. Yijin activated the tactical display showing current battle positions. The council has been attacking the Kethemori homeworlds in the nebula. From their perspective, aliens invaded their ancient territory and began destroying sites sacred to their ancestors. And the Kethemori attacks on council worlds? Asked Oh Sung-ho. Defensive responses, So Young replied. They were trying to drive out invaders and find their way back to the memory vault where their combined history is stored. Taemin's ship, the Hanbuk's Pride, received new orders to attempt direct contact with a Kethemori vessel. Earth needed to confirm their theories and establish formal communication with their evolutionary cousins. The meeting took place in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Taemin watched through his ship's viewports as a massive Kethemori bioship approached. The vessel was beautiful, with smooth curves and surfaces that pulsed with gentle light. "Permission to come aboard?" came the translated message. "Granted," Taemin replied. "We welcome our relatives." The airlock opened and 3 Kethemori beings floated into the ship. They moved gracefully in the low gravity, their pale skin glowing softly in the ship's lights. Their leader approached Taemin and extended a long, slender hand. "I am Veltar of the Voidwalker Path," he said through the translator. "You are Taemin of the Groundbound Path." "That's right," Taemin replied, shaking the alien's hand. "We've learned about our shared ancestry." Veltar's black eyes seemed to study Taemin's face carefully. The memory songs speak of this moment, when the Voidwalkers and Groundbound would meet again among the ancient stars. Memory songs? Our history passed down through genetic memory across countless generations. We have searched for you since the Great Leaving. So Young, who had accompanied Taimin for this historic meeting, stepped forward. We found ruins on Mars and Europa. Your people lived in our solar system. Your solar system, Veltar corrected gently. It was the first home for both our paths. We left because the star would die, but we always hoped to return. The sun is stable now, Taimin said. Whatever threat you detected must have passed. Yes, the first home can support life again. This is why we have been moving toward the center worlds. We seek to reclaim what was lost and reunite what was divided. But the reunion wasn't simple. The Kethemori had developed very different views of existence during their millions of years in space. They thought in terms of collective consciousness and long-term planning that spanned millennia. Humans had developed individual thinking and short-term adaptation strategies. The Screamers block our path to the memory vault, Veltar explained. They do not understand that the ancient sites belong to all children of the first people. The Council thinks you're trying to conquer their territory, So Young replied. Territory is a concept for those bound to single worlds. The void belongs to all, as do the ancient places. The conversation continued for hours, with both species sharing their histories and trying to understand how much they had changed. The Kethemori were amazed by human creativity and adaptability. Humans were awed by Kethemori technology and their deep connection to the cosmos. But their reunion was interrupted by urgent communication from Earth. Park Chang-wook, an intelligence operative, had discovered something terrible in captured Council communications. The Council knows about the shared ancestry, Chang-wook reported. They've known for months. They're using the war as an excuse to eliminate both human and Kethemori populations. The intercepted messages revealed a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of Council leadership. They had discovered evidence of human Kethemori kinship early in the war, but decided to suppress the information. Instead of seeking peaceful resolution, they planned to destroy both species and claim their advanced technology. They're afraid of us, Hyejin realized. Humans and Kethemori together would be more advanced than any Council species. The Council fleet surrounded Earth like a steel noose. 237 warships hung in the dark between Earth and its moon, their weapons trained on the blue planet below. On the bridge of the flagship Domination, Admiral Rexthon studied the tactical display with cold satisfaction. Status report, he commanded his bridge crew. All ships in position, Admiral, replied his tactical officer. Earth's defense platforms are online, but their shields cannot withstand a full fleet bombardment. Rexthon nodded. His 4 arms moved across the control panels as he prepared the ultimatum that would end Earth's stubborn neutrality once and for all. On Earth, John Sungmin stood in the Defense Command Center deep beneath Geneva. As Secretary of Defense, he had spent years preparing for this moment, hoping it would never come. Around him, dozens of technicians worked at their stations coordinating Earth's defenses. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Council, flagship, reported his communications officer. Put it on the main screen, Sungmin ordered. Admiral Rexthon's image appeared, his alien features twisted with arrogance. Secretary John, I am Admiral Rexthon of the Galactic Council First Fleet. You have 72 hours to comply with our demands. What demands? Sungmin asked, though he already knew. First, immediate access to all Kethemori communication protocols and translation data. Second, full disclosure of all archaeological discoveries related to ancient civilizations. Third, Earth's complete military support in the war against the Void Swarm. And if we refuse? Rexthon's smile was cold and cruel. Then Earth will be liberated from its current government and placed under Council protection. Your resources will be properly utilized for the galactic war effort. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in tense silence. Everyone understood what liberation meant in Council terms: conquest, occupation, and the stripping away of everything that made Earth independent. An Ye-jin, captain of Earth's flagship Teguk Guardian, received the alert in her ready room. She had been studying tactical reports when the klaxons began sounding throughout the ship. Her crew moved to battle stations with practiced efficiency. Captain, called her first officer as she entered the bridge. We're receiving priority orders from Earth Command. What are our orders? Ye-jin asked. Defensive posture only. Do not fire unless fired upon. Protect civilian evacuation routes at all costs. Yijin looked at the tactical display showing the massive council fleet. Her ship was powerful, but it was one vessel against hundreds. Still, Earth had not survived this long by backing down from bullies. Park Chang-wook worked frantically in the intelligence center, analyzing intercepted council communications. What he found made his blood run cold. "Sir," he called to his supervisor, "the council isn't planning to occupy Earth. They're planning to destroy it." "What do you mean?" Chang-wook activated his analysis display. "I've been monitoring their coded transmissions. This isn't about forcing our compliance, it's about eliminating witnesses. The intercepted messages revealed the council's true plan. They intended to destroy Earth's major cities, eliminate the government leadership, and claim that the Keth Mori were responsible. The remaining human population would be enslaved and used as a labor force, while Earth's resources would be stripped to support the war effort. They want to commit genocide and blame it on our cousins," Chang-wook realized. "Then use the attack to justify exterminating the Keth Mori as well." Ko Yunbi coordinated the civilian evacuation from her post in the Emergency Management Center. Millions of people needed to be moved from major cities to underground shelters and protected areas. But the process was slow, and there wasn't enough time. "Ma'am, we've only evacuated 30% of the target population," reported her assistant. "The transport system can't handle this volume." "Keep working," Yunbi replied. "Every life we save matters." Through the windows of the center, she could see the lights of council ships in the night sky. The aliens had positioned themselves to maximize psychological pressure on Earth's population. Fear was part of their strategy. Daeho stood in his office looking out at the city of Geneva spread below. People moved through the streets with desperate urgency, carrying belongings and loading into evacuation vehicles. Some looked up at the alien ships with fear, others with defiance. "Sir," Heejin said as she entered the office, "we have response options prepared." "Tell me," Daeho replied without turning from the window. "Option 1, full compliance. We give them everything they want and hope they honor their agreement." "Which they won't." "No, sir. Intelligence indicates they plan to eliminate us regardless." "Option 2, negotiated resistance. We give them some information in exchange for more time." "Also pointless." "What's option 3? Heejin hesitated. "Active defense. We reveal our true military capabilities and fight back." Daeho finally turned to face her. "How long have we been preparing for this?" "Since the day we declared neutrality, sir. Everything has been ready for months." "Then it's time the galaxy learned what human ingenuity really looks like." 60 hours into the ultimatum, Rexthon grew impatient. His fleet had encountered no resistance from human defenses, and his sensors showed massive civilian evacuations from Earth's cities. The humans were preparing for bombardment, which meant they had no intention of complying. "Begin preliminary strikes," he ordered. "Target their outer defense platforms. Show them we're serious." The first council attack began at 14:30 Greenwich Mean Time. 12 heavy cruisers opened fire on Luna Base, humanity's primary defense installation on the moon. Energy beams and kinetic projectiles struck the base's shields, creating brilliant flashes of light visible from Earth. But something unexpected happened. Instead of failing under the bombardment, Luna Base's shields held. They didn't just absorb the incoming fire, they seemed to grow stronger, pulsing with increasing energy. "Admiral," called Rexthon's sensor operator, "the human shields are reflecting our weapons fire back at us." Impossible. Human technology isn't that advanced. But on the tactical display, Rexthon watched in shock as Luna Base's shields converted the incoming energy into a massive counterattack. Beams of pure force lanced out from the moon, striking 2 council cruisers and disabling their weapon systems. On Luna Base, Colonel Kim Ji-won smiled as he watched the alien ships retreat. "So much for their superior firepower," he told his crew. "Activate the next phase." Across Earth's solar system, hidden installations began powering up. What the Council had assumed were simple mining stations and research outposts revealed their true nature. Massive rail guns emerged from asteroids, defensive platforms uncloaked near Jupiter and Saturn. The entire solar system was a fortress, and humanity had just invited their enemies inside. Rexthon's confidence crumbled as more human defenses revealed themselves. "How many installations do they have?" he demanded. "Sensors detect over 400 separate defense platforms," his tactical officer replied. "They're all powering weapons systems." "This was supposed to be a simple intimidation mission," Rexthon muttered. "How did they hide this much military hardware?" The answer was human cleverness. For years, Earth had disguised military installations as civilian infrastructure. Solar collectors were actually energy weapons. Communication satellites carried missile systems. Even the space elevators had defensive capabilities built into their structure. Sungmin coordinated the defense from his command center. "All stations, this is Defense Command. Execute Plan Phoenix." "Plan Phoenix?" asked his deputy. "Sir, that will reveal everything." "The time for hiding is over," Sungmin replied. "If they want a war, let's show them what humanity can do." Plan Phoenix was Earth's ultimate contingency, a simultaneous activation of every hidden defense system in human space. The Council fleet found themselves surrounded not by helpless humans, but by one of the most sophisticated military networks in the galaxy. But Rexthon wasn't finished. If intimidation wouldn't work, he would resort to direct attack. "All ships, target Earth's major population centers. Begin orbital bombardment." The Council fleet opened fire on Earth itself. Energy beams and kinetic missiles streaked toward the planet's surface, targeting cities like London, Tokyo, and New York. For a moment, it seemed as though millions of humans would die. Then Earth's planetary defense grid activated. The sky above, Earth filled with light as hundreds of defensive satellites intercepted the incoming fire. Massive shield generators on the planet's surface created overlapping barriers that absorbed the bombardment. Counterattack systems launched from hidden installations across the globe. But some attacks got through. A kinetic missile struck the outskirts of Sydney, killing 3,000 civilians. Another energy beam hit a refugee transport leaving Berlin, vaporizing the ship and everyone aboard. "They're killing civilians," Yunbi reported from the emergency center. "Direct attacks on non-combatants." "Document everything," Daeho ordered, coldly. "The galaxy needs to see what the Council really is." The deaths of innocent humans triggered something that the Council hadn't expected. Rage. Pure, focused human anger that had been building for months of threats and intimidation. 3 months after the failed Council attack on Earth, Fleet Admiral Kim Hyen-woo stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Unity's Dawn. Through the viewports, he could see the largest military fleet in galactic history. 5,000 human vessels accompanied by 3,000 Kethmori bioships, all moving toward the galactic center. "Admiral," called his tactical officer, "long-range sensors detect the Council defense line. They've assembled everything they have." Hyun-woo studied the holographic display. The Council had pulled ships from across the galaxy, creating a defensive wall of over 8,000 vessels. It would be the largest space battle in recorded history. "Any word from the diplomatic mission?" he asked. Secretary Shin reports no progress, sir. The Council refuses to negotiate. Shin Dong-hyuk had spent weeks trying to avoid this confrontation. As Earth's chief diplomatic envoy, he had offered the Council multiple chances for peaceful resolution. Earth would share the Memory Vault's knowledge freely if the Council would end their aggression and accept the truth about human Kethmori kinship. But the Council leadership was too proud and too afraid. They had built their power on the idea of alien superiority over humans. Admitting that humans were actually the evolutionary cousins of the galaxy's most advanced species would undermine everything they stood for. "The Council Supreme Command has issued their final statement," Shin reported to Hyun-woo via secure communication. "They declare humanity and the Kethmori to be enemies of galactic civilization. They will accept nothing less than total surrender. Then, we give them total war," Hyun-woo replied grimly. Hong Soo-jin coordinated the combined fleet strategy from the command ship's tactical center. As chief strategist, she had spent months planning this campaign with both human military leaders and Kethmori collective minds. The strategy was unlike anything previously seen in galactic warfare. Human tactical thinking emphasized rapid adaptation and innovative solutions. Kethmori collective consciousness allowed for perfect coordination across thousands of ships. Together, they created a military doctrine that was both flexible and unified. Phase 1 begins in 30 minutes, Sujin announced to the fleet. All ships prepare for dimensional transit. The human Kethmori fleet didn't advance through normal space. Instead, they used a combination of human dimensional manipulation technology and Kethmori void-walking abilities to appear directly behind Council defensive lines. Admiral Rexthon, commanding the Council's primary battle group, watched in shock as enemy ships materialized throughout his formation. Impossible. Our sensors showed them light years away. Sir, they're using some kind of space-folding technology, his science officer reported. Our ships are surrounded. But the humans in Kethmori didn't immediately attack. Instead, they broadcast a message on all frequencies. Council forces, came the voice of Admiral Hyan-Woo. This is your final warning. Stand down your weapons and prepare to receive inspection teams. We will not harm anyone who surrenders peacefully. Rexthon's response was predictable. All ships open fire, destroy the human fleet. The battle began instantly. Council ships launched everything they had: energy weapons, kinetic missiles, exotic particle beams, and even experimental dimensional disruptors. The combined firepower should have obliterated any enemy fleet. Instead, the human Kethmori formation flowed like liquid around the attacks. Human ships used their adaptive hulls and quantum shielding to absorb damage, while Kethmori biovessels simply reformed themselves around incoming fire. The two species moved in perfect harmony, covering each other's weaknesses and amplifying their strengths. Ryu Junho commanded a squadron of human destroyers working alongside Kethmori scout ships. His vessels used precision weapons to disable Council ships' systems, while the Kethmori used their ability to interface directly with alien technology to shut down weapons and engines. This is amazing, he reported to Fleet Command. The bioships can actually talk to the Council vessels' computer systems. They're convincing some ships to surrender without firing a shot. The Kethmori had developed abilities during their millions of years in space that no other species possessed. They could communicate with any form of artificial intelligence, understand the deepest motivations of organic beings, and manipulate energy fields in ways that seemed almost magical. But it was the combination with human innovation that made them unstoppable. Humans provided tactical flexibility and technological creativity, while the Kethmori offered strategic wisdom and cosmic perspective. Lee Mi-young worked as cultural liaison between the two species during the battle. Her job was to ensure that human and Kethmori forces understood each other's intentions and capabilities. The collective minds want to know about human concepts of mercy, she reported to Admiral Hyan-Woo. They don't understand why we're not destroying Council ships completely. Tell them it's about the future, Hyan-Woo replied. We're not fighting to destroy our enemies. We're fighting to create a galaxy where conflicts like this don't happen again. This philosophy guided every action of the combined fleet. Instead of annihilating Council forces, they systematically disabled them. Instead of bombarding Council worlds, they targeted only military installations while protecting civilian populations. The battle raged across dozens of star systems as Council forces fell back repeatedly. Their superior numbers meant nothing against the tactical brilliance of the human Kethmori alliance. Every Council strategy was anticipated and countered. Every defensive position was bypassed or overwhelmed. But the real breakthrough came when the combined fleet reached the Nexus system, the location of the ancient memory vault that both species had been seeking. The memory vault was hidden inside a massive space station orbiting a dying star. The station was older than any known civilization, built by the original species before the Great Division. Council forces had been using it as a military headquarters, completely unaware of its true significance. All ships, priority target, Hyan-Woo announced. We need to capture that station intact. The knowledge inside could reshape galactic civilization. The battle for the memory vault was fierce. Council forces fought desperately to prevent human Kethmori access to the station. They knew that losing it would mean losing the war, but they were facing an enemy that understood the station's true nature. Keth Mori bioships interfaced directly with the ancient systems while human engineers worked to unlock security protocols that had protected the vault for millions of years. Veltar, the Keth Mori representative who had first met with Taemin, led the boarding party into the station's core. The ancient corridors hummed with power as systems that had slept for eons began awakening. The memory songs were true, Veltar whispered as they entered the central chamber. The knowledge of the first people remains. The memory vault contained the complete history of the original species, their science, philosophy, art, and most importantly, their hopes for the future. They had known that their children would someday reunite, and they had left instructions for building a better galaxy. So Young, who had joined the boarding party, worked frantically to download the vault's contents. "This is incredible," she reported. They solved problems we're still struggling with: faster than light travel, matter conversion, even consciousness transfer. But the most important discovery was the original species' vision for galactic civilization. They had foreseen a time when all intelligent species would work together, sharing knowledge and resources for the benefit of everyone. They called it the Great Harmony. So Young continued. A galactic confederation based on voluntary cooperation rather than conquest or domination. As the memory vault's knowledge spread through the combined fleet, something extraordinary happened. Council ships began surrendering not out of fear, but out of understanding. The ancient wisdom showed them a better way to organize galactic society. Admiral Rexthon himself came aboard the Unity's Dawn to negotiate the final surrender. The proud alien looked defeated but not broken. "I have read the memory songs," he said to Admiral Hyan-Wu. "My people were wrong. We let fear and pride blind us to the truth." "The truth is that we're all children of the stars," Hyan-Wu replied. "The original species scattered their descendants across the galaxy, hoping we would eventually find each other and work together." "And now we have," Rexthon agreed. "What happens next?" The answer came from Dae-Ho, who had traveled from Earth to witness the war's end. The Prime Minister looked tired but hopeful as he addressed the assembled leaders. "We build the future that our ancestors dreamed of," he said simply. "We create the Galactic Confederation based on the principles in the Memory Vault: voluntary cooperation, shared knowledge, and mutual respect." The transformation didn't happen overnight. It took years to establish the new government structure and convince all species to participate. But the Memory Vault's knowledge provided solutions to problems that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. Food scarcity ended when ancient agricultural techniques were rediscovered. Energy shortages became obsolete with fusion technologies that the original species had perfected. Even faster-than-light travel became safer and more efficient, using principles that combined human innovation with Keth Mori void-walking abilities.